Hello and welcome. Welcome to Fame Degree Tarot. So, I have a message that's been a long time in the making. Um, I just started this channel I don't know, a month or two ago. Made one video and then I had to take a break. It was so labor intensive to get that one video up. My phone kept stopping. Then I ran out of memory. Then I couldn't get certain parts of the video to upload, and I worked on that for a week. So it's just like a real labor of love. And then I had some, you know, other issues that I was dealing with that kind of set me back. But it has always been my goal to come on here and talk about something very near and dear to my heart, and that is um, what people commonly refer to as the twin flame journey. For me, this has been a really long road of self discovery. I know a lot of people get to go through this process privately. I wasn't so lucky. My journey was shared with the public. It was basically just put on blast. I could not go on my journey in private. A lot of parts of it were in private. Like I would say the first 2 years of my journey were private, and then I managed to somehow connect with people on social media who, I won't say how they found out I was on the journey. It wasn't from anything that I said, I don't think, per se. Um, but anyway, uh, people were made aware of my journey and used it I felt exploited over it, but then I also felt like some people used it to their advantage. People who never even knew what a twin flame was were all of a sudden like, oh, I'm somebody's twin flame. Yeah, whatever. I don't even care. That's not the important part. Um, I just kind of want to draw some allusions toward what might be considered a quote unquote normal um, twin flame twin flame path. It certainly wouldn't be played out in public, I don't think, for the most part, except for what a lot of people like to come on social media and voluntarily share, which I am a member of several twin flame groups on Facebook. Um, and people do come on there and they have a lot to say about the journey, a lot of which I don't necessarily agree with. I don't believe that this journey is easy. However, I think after what I've been through, it wouldn't be uncommon for somebody to meet their twin flame and have an easy connection. I believe that's possible. And I'm starting to really believe that that is what's actually supposed to happen in a true twin flame relationship. And I'll tell you why. My opinion about the twin flame relationship now at this point in my life is that it is supposed to be peaceful. It's supposed to be a peaceful connection. And the reason that is because I'm beginning to feel like most people meet their twin after they have gone through a very dark time in their life. This is just my opinion. Um, I'm not a doctor or whatever. I don't have like a PhD on what it means to be a twin flame, but having been on the journey, having still, I think you're always on the journey. Okay. Once on the journey, you're always on the journey. This is the rest of your life. This is, even if you never connect with your twin, and I believe that's possible too. I believe that there can be things that happen in our lives that completely prevent our paths from crossing with our twin flame. It's unfortunate, but I do believe that that could happen through no fault of our own. Just that maybe the time wasn't right. It wasn't this lifetime that we were supposed to come together. I think that can happen. On the other hand, I also think that twin flames can find each other. I also think that there are many, many, many dynamics to this sort of relationship. And you kind of have to go with what's happening in your situation. I actually had a false twin flame. There is such a thing as a false twin flame. And that's kind of something that's controversial as well. A lot of people don't believe that there's such a thing as a false twin. I, on the other hand, I'm quite certain I had a false twin, if not two. Um, and I say that, and I'm not ashamed to say that because I really do think that you need a lot of training for this journey. This is something that is life changing. It is completely life altering when you're on this journey. Um, so I wanted to cover a few things about the timing of this video. I said in the beginning that it's been a long time coming. I've been meaning to do it for a long time. A lot of people have been really encouraging me to speak on the subject, what I've been through, what I've learned, so that I can help other people. But something kind of cute. I was in Costco yesterday and they had new credit card readers, and I was like, oh, new readers. And I thought, oh, I'm a new reader, like that. What a coincidence. Like that's a sign that I need to get back on my path of turning on the camera and flipping cards or just speaking to you guys about the twin flame journey and other things I've learned along the way. The other thing is the last couple of days I've seen 1111 pop up, not looking for it, just it's there. Like I look at the clock, 1111. I look at, there's some number somewhere, someone's license plate or someone's birthday is 1111. And I've seen that several times over the last 48 hours. And so I was like, okay, that's definitely a sign that I need to get on this. So a couple of things I want to talk about to start. I covered the dark night of the soul when we're going through something kind of traumatic that starts to really change our personality and change who we are, hopefully for the better. But I want to touch on the empath narcissist dynamic. I think a lot of people confuse, and I'm probably not immune of this, but I feel like a lot of people confuse the empath and narcissist dynamic for a twin flame relationship. That is not a twin flame relationship. I don't care what anybody says. I do feel like if there is an empath narcissist dynamic in the beginning of a twin flame relationship, that if the narcissistic individual does a full 180 and heals, which I don't even know if a narcissist can become a non-narcissist. I don't know how that works. I don't know if it's like alcoholism, once an alcoholic, always an alcoholic. I don't know. I don't know how that works. I just know that that can be mistaken for the twin flame dynamic because a narcissist is going to, they're going to feed into the dynamic and show you who they want you to see until it's no longer convenient for them to put on the show for you. And then you're going to see who they really are. And at that point, that's when you find out, okay, so all this time, I thought we were soulmates because that's the side of yourself you showed me. Come to find out, I don't feel like this is how a soulmate, would treat somebody in a relationship. And it's the truth because that was an empath narcissist dynamic. Some of the key factors that are a part of the empath narcissist dynamic are there's attraction. Of course, that's with most, if not all, relationships, that attraction starts first. Then the illusion building. Then when the narcissist gets tired of you, they devalue you. there's a trauma bond built. The narcissist operates from a place of control, from a place of centering, as in, I'm the center of this universe, that being the narcissist. Everything revolves around me. There's the gaslighting, the confusion. The empath will start blaming themselves for getting into a relationship this unhealthy. And then there's denial. And I feel like that can be on both parts. The narcissist denial, I'm not that way or whatever, when it's fully obvious by this time what's going on. A couple of other things I want to touch on. On the healthy side of the twin flame dynamic, something out in addition to perhaps going through a dark period in your life just before you meet your twin, there might be a really strong calling to move somewhere, literally going on a journey, hence, the journey, and then end up meeting your twin after you've moved to a new city or, part of the world. And then one really, really, I should have probably labeled this number one, but what I feel is most important in this kind of dynamic is that you have a choice. You have a choice to do this journey or not. If someone is unhealthy for you, you do not owe it to them, especially if they're unwilling to do the work. Now, this could be a false twin. You find out you have a false twin at the end of this. It can feel like you've wasted a lot of time that you won't be able to get back. The first sign of possible twin flame or false twin flame relationship is a deep, deep desire to love someone unconditionally. For me, that was what broke this thing wide open. I had met someone and I was just like, why can this man do nothing wrong in my eyes? Like, I mean, obviously, if he was a shitty person, I would be like, that's wrong. But I'm just talking about, like, I just thought he belonged on a pedestal somewhere. Okay. And then you don't understand. You're like, I've never felt like this about anybody before. Like, usually I can find something wrong with somebody, or like, they do something silly and I'm like, you're an idiot or whatever. But with this particular person, it was like, no matter what he did, I felt like I could work with him around it, or I could, assist him in being a better person. And I just felt like I had never felt that before. And I wanted to know what it was. Like, it was so strong, it was undeniable. And I wanted to know what it was. So then I started researching having those feelings, and I stumbled across the twin flame dynamic. And I'm going to back up for a minute here, because just before I met this person, about 6 months before I met this person, I started seeing synchronicities. I started seeing 1111, like every day for like 6 months. I didn't know what that meant either. I was like, that's weird. I just kept thinking, that's really weird. Like, I knew angels were trying to communicate with me, but I didn't know what they were telling me, and I didn't know why. So anyway, fast forward again 6 months later, when I meet this person and I'm seeing these synchronicities and I'm feeling this weird sensation for a person that I've never felt before in my life. Just so many questions that I had. So I started researching and I found out about the twin flame journey. And I thought, that's what's going on with me. That's it. That's what's going on with me. But by the end of this thing, it always starts off really, nice and fun and romantic and everything. It didn't turn out that way with me and this person. But looking back, I realized he was put on my path for a reason, so that A, I would start researching what was going on, and B, I would start to learn about the different behaviors that are involved, about synchronicities, about self love. That was self love, along with knowing you have a choice, I would say, are the two most important parts of being in a twin flame relationship. You have to love yourself first. You cannot expect someone else to fill your cup. You and for me, I am so, like, I look back so often and think I'm so lucky that I had a head start before I even figured out what this all meant. I was already working on my journey towards loving myself. Had I not already been working on myself and how to love myself and respect myself, this would have never worked out for me. It would have unraveled before it began. So, angel numbers, signs. There's no mistaking when you're on this journey. You know, you just know. The third really, really important thing about the twin flame journey is you can go into union with yourself. You can balance that yin and yang energy that we all carry, that masculine and feminine energy that we all carry. And that will also help you to call in um, an ascended mate, somebody that vibes as high as you, somebody who's done the work um, to get where they are in order to meet their kingdom spouse. Another really, really, really important point is never forget who you are. I don't care what you go through on this journey. I don't care if you go through 3 false twins. Never forget who you are. Never ever forget who you are. Even if you're in a bad place, you've got to remember who you were before you met this person, who you want to remain being, because they don't have to change you as a human being. They don't have to take your joy and replace it with something bad. Like, you don't have to allow that to happen. You don't have to stay on this journey if you don't want to. You don't. You can decide to be with a soulmate instead. God may provide you a higher level soulmate, and there's nothing wrong with that. God may give you just, an ordinary, I don't know what the difference is if there's ordinary or higher level. I have a feeling that there is, but whatever, you could meet your best friend and decide to have a relationship that way. You don't have to stay on this journey, especially if you don't feel you're able to do it, because it is grueling and it is a lot of work and it can be discouraging. And we have free will. If you have a twin flame out there that you've met and you just decide you don't want to be together, you can decide not to be together and live totally separate lives. You may or may not keep that bond going throughout your life. You may decide to let that bond go, and that's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, what the point I'm trying to make is there's no right or wrong answer. You're not forced to do this. You're not forced to go into union with a twin flame. It's hard enough trying to figure out who the hell that person is. But one thing I would say is never, if you're not knowingly on this journey, there is no reason to develop a mindset of, I'm going to go out and look for my twin flame, because you might not have one. There's always a possibility that you don't have one. I think the jury might still be out on whether or not everyone has one. Personally, I don't think everyone does in this lifetime. Maybe we all have them, but maybe we're meeting up with them in different lifetimes. I don't know. I'm just saying, I don't think that we're all here right now on this great big planet Earth and we all have a twin flame. It just doesn't seem realistic to me. So there's never a reason to force this. Um, there's never a reason to force this. If you have a twin flame, this will all come to you when the time is right, when you've done the work, whether knowingly or unknowingly. You could have a situation completely unassociated with a romantic connection. You could lose your best friend, a child, a parent, a job, a career, something that really just makes you hit rock bottom and cracks open the shell that you once were, and makes you rebuild into a stronger, wiser individual who is ready for the responsibility of that kind of relationship where this is my person. You know, I was probably put here on this planet to be with this person. We're both in the right mindset and heart space to do this relationship together, because it is a spiritual connection. It's not, there's a lot of work that goes into it. There's a lot of work that goes into it. And I feel like you can do that separate or you can do it together, but it's got to get done. It has to be done. Um, so I touched on some of the negatives, but I'm also going to say there obviously are going to be positive experiences along the way too, and that's what you want to highlight. Does this person make me feel wanted? Does this person make me feel safe? Does this person make me feel secure? Does this person make me feel loved? Those are the kind of things you're looking for. If you're in this runner dynamic, um, runner chaser dynamic, and you can't ever seem to get on the same page with one another, to me, that's a red flag. I mean, it's common to have a chaser and a runner dynamic. It's very common, but at some point, two people who want to be together are going to come together. It's not always going to be somebody's running, somebody's chasing. I mean, to me, that's when people have to make the decision, is this something I want to do? Never ever forget who you are. Call back, try to remember the pieces of yourself that you lost during this struggle. Those are the most important pieces of healing. Um, you may not have met your twin yet. You could have met, if you feel like you're on this journey and you're unsure, you may have met a high level soulmate or a false twin. And lastly, I want to say, if you decide that this journey is not for you, I fully believe that God will replace a twin flame with a high level soulmate or some other type of soulmate. And maybe it doesn't have to be a romantic soulmate. Maybe it can, be a friend or start off as a friendship. But I feel like that space will always be filled in with another, as long as you're in alignment, as long as you stay in alignment. Um, but those are some important points I wanted to bring across, and I kind of wanted to share a little bit of my story as I've kind of been asked to do. Um, and I think it's important to do that. I think it's important when you've gone through a really difficult life lesson and there's other people out there who can benefit from hearing your story. I do actually think that it's a good idea to consider sharing. And so I hope that I've been able to shed some light on the subject of twin flames. And now I want to go ahead and pull some angel cards and some herbal healing cards.